Radio 247. You're live in the mix. I'm your host, Twizm White, and today I've got a really fantastically fun and awesome. I'm gonna love this interview. Ron Russell, a producer, actor, director, radio personality, and one hell of a funny guy. You should check out his shows sometimes, man. Ron, how are you doing today?
Okay, but you left out. I was on stage for 46 years. Well,
Gosh, I
in
did.
between doing, yeah, I was a stand-up comic. I impersonated the legend Jane Russell in drag, and I used to
Okay.
do comedy. And I took it all over the United States to all the straight nightclubs, because back then we had nightclubs. So
Okay.
that's a major part of my career, more than
How
film
you
work.
how you want that said? Broadway or just film work? How you want that
What
said?
wasn't Broadway, cabaret performer.
Cabaret performer. Okay,
Because I
let's
did
go.
dirty stand-up comedy.
I, I watched your little video. I absolutely thought that was hilarious. What is it
Yeah,
called? Two in the same. I love
two in the
that. That
same.
was yeah, that was great. You wrote that, correct?
I wrote it and I started it, and it's a wonderful story about a different part of gay world and gay people that most people don't know. Where the guy that was the lead, he was a lawyer, I believe, yeah, a lawyer who didn't understand himself. He had no idea he was gay, and he buys this broken down drag club in Greenwich Village with the old broad that came with it. The drag queen's been there for 100 years, played by me, and my I think my name was Dauber. Anyway, this guy that didn't know he was gay found that he was in love with a drag queen. But when the drag queen was a guy, he hated him. But as soon as the guy became a woman, he loved him. So it's just, one of the stories that I knew growing up in Greenwich Village with all the wild people of the day. I mean, I grew up with fabulous people, movie stars that they were young and poor. Now they're all major old movie stars, Academy Award winners, but they're old. Okay,
Right.
this is our little dog, 7 pounds, and he's a lover boy. But don't tongue kiss me now, honey. Later. So I know. Don't stop me from interviewing you. I'm so bad at this
Don't
because
worry about it.
no,
You're,
I'll
you're
wind up
doing
making it my show. You interviewing you. How's the
you know
baby?
what?
How's the pregnant
Oh,
wife coming?
she just made her food and went upstairs and she said to tell you hi and everything. She's doing
Good.
wonderful. The biggest thing is that her blood pressure for some reason after six babies doesn't want to cooperate. So she needs a lot of bed rest, right? So
Good.
she's
I
doing
believe
great.
so.
Baby's
Good.
doing great.
Good news.
So
Now, does she really believe it's your kid?
I sure hope so. We're in for a great video blog if it's not, right?
Anyway, so what are you doing? See, I'm interviewing you.
Don't worry about it.
No, I'm
You're,
going to shut my mouth. You ask the questions.
all right, I will. So, anyways, what are you doing with yourself right now today? What did I interrupt Ron Russell doing this morning?
Well, I'm a very glamorous movie star, as you know, and I live a very glamorous life. The dogs shit in the garage, and I had to pick up the shit and hose out the garage. So this morning I hosed out the garage.
That's
It was
great.
filthy and well, you know what it is. We have the side door open, and the dogs run in and out to the garden, and they bring
Yeah.
the dirt to the garage. And we have a lot of money in cars in our garage. And I told Sloppy Jimmy, I said, your car's like a fortune of money. Why should it be in the driveway? And you got to plug it in. So he hasn't been plugging it in. This is very
That's
boring.
no, it
Anyway,
isn't.
yeah,
You
well,
got you got a brand new
cleaning,
electric car.
picking up dog shit and cleaning the garage was my glamorous movie star morning.
Well, you know what? I do not envy you. How about that?
Well, I mean, I love my dogs. It's just that sometimes they go in the garage. I don't know why. From the garden, we leave the door open to the garage,
Right.
and I don't know. They like to shit all over. What do I? You have dogs? Do you have any
I have a
dogs?
big black lab, big, huge, monstrous black lab. She's about 80 pounds sausage, and she is just a waddle-thon. She waddles all
So
over the
where
place.
does she shit?
That she, we take her out to the backyard, and
Okay,
then my son has to clean it up, right? So
so that's the wonderful part of my dear friend Tab Hunter, the actor.
okay,
Tab Hunter and I were just fun friends. And I said to him one day, I said, Tab, everybody loves your glamorous life. Even though they don't know you're gay. I said, but they think you were dating Sandra Dee and all these movie stars and you go to Hollywood premieres. I said, and the truth of the matter was, you were up at the ranch with your horses every morning shoveling horse shit for a couple of hours. And that's what Tab did. He
If
himself
they only knew.
shoveled the horse shit. And if
If
they
they
only
only
knew,
knew.
if the public only knew the things that, I mean, Jane Russell would stay at my house. They should only know what she went through. I mean,
Yes,
they're people. You know,
I know
actors
what
are.
Eileen goes through. I know what Eileen goes through staying at your house. So
Oh, fuck her. She has the best time here. She tries to make me straight, flaunting her tits at me, but it doesn't work. No, Eileen, she's treated like a queen.
yeah,
In fact, we were going somewhere. She was trying on all my dresses, my gowns, my drag gowns, mine.
I bet she looks just as good as you do.
No, she didn't.
A little jealousy
Why?
there.
What did Eileen say? We treat her full. I make her pancakes in the morning. She comes to the center counter island in the kitchen. She sits on the stool. She lifts both breasts and lays it on the counter. And the
That counter
coffee cup.
gets more. That counter gets more action than most straight men.
Oh, that's not true. You don't know Eileen. Oh, you don't know Eileen. She's a straight size queen, straight woman size queen.
She
Eileen
is
loves men.
awesome. She
She
is awesome.
loves men. She loves dick. She loves men. I think it's healthy and normal. That's why she's such a good girl and such a sweetie pie, because she's
Exactly.
not a frustrated old maid that hasn't gotten laid. Hey, you know, Mike, I want to ask you, can I talk this way?
Yes, of course. What,
Do you know that I went on what's his name, Chance's show,
yeah.
and Facebook took it off the air because it was too vulgar? Me,
Oh my
vulgar.
God.
Me, of all people, vulgar. How could they? What are we going to my
You're not. You're on the lower end. You're.
Wait, I had egg late before. I got some egg on my shirt. Oh shit! You want some egg?
I thought you changed into a new shirt.
For what?
Jimmy said you were changing into a new shirt.
Jimmy's out of his fucking mind. You listen to him. He knows his ass from his elbow. All he knows how to do is PR. That's all he knows how
I,
to do. If
I
Jimmy's
want to
not
hear your version.
what?
I want to hear. I want to hear your version of how y'all met. How'd y'all meet?
Uh, I was walking in the mall in Boca Raton, Florida, minding my own business, looking for what was I looking for? Something. A comforter for my bed. And I was going up
Okay.
to Bed Bath and Beyond, and this character with pointy shoes with bells on, I think, ripped dungarees with underwear showing, a weird flowered shirt, 50 earrings, long hair, derelict looking freak, came next to me and said, "You're the most gorgeous man in the mall." And I looked at him and I said, "Get the fuck away from me." So he said, "Why? What's the matter?" I said, "Just go away before I have to hit you, you sick bastard." And I kept walking because I was offended that he thought I was gay. Now Jimmy tells a story. I had on white flip flops with white jeans and no underwear, and I'm Italian, and a white shirt and my white hair with white sunglasses. Jimmy said the gay was just glowing all over the mall. How could you not be thought of as gay? Anyway, I went upstairs to the Bed Bath and Beyond. Big escalator goes downstairs, and he's at the bottom of the escalator on his phone. So I thought to myself, this is a sicko. This is a weirdo who, for some reason, is going to like have to get hit hard and bad. I went down the escalator, and he started following me. And I turned around and I said to him, "Listen, I have friends down here that you don't want to meet. You don't want me to call my friends. They're from Brooklyn. You don't want to meet them because if I call them, you're not going to walk for a couple of years." So he got nervous and he left. Now I'm with my boyfriend Burton Gazar, who's an actor, and we're in the mall again. And then Jimmy's in the mall. Well, he didn't look weird. He had on a jacket with a shirt. He was dressed like a human being. And he came over and started talking to me again. And I found out that he had a radio show, and I had a television show on Channel 111 in Palm Springs, set the record straight. And we were doing a big benefit for Costco. Costco, the big, Costco Brothers, whatever they're called. And they were doing a Halloween show at their home. And they wanted actors and decorations to look like a haunted house. They had a magnificent southern plantation home in Florida. So we went with a crew. We brought in coffins and dead bodies and mechanical monsters. And said to Jimmy in the mall, I said, "I'm looking for an undertaker." I said, "You want to play an undertaker?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "But you got to look normal. Take the earrings out, wear a dark suit, look like an undertaker." He said, "Okay, I can do it. I've made movies before, extra work. 100 films, all extras, you don't even see it." But anyway, he thinks he made movies, and I smiled. It's okay. Now, my friend Burton played a murderer who stabs to death this old lady on the staircase. So as the guests come in, you see the old lady screaming, and Burton stabs her, and she falls down the stairs. Then from there, you go into the gypsy tea room where the woman is telling the future. It was wonderful set. It was a wonderful Halloween. But when you got to the funeral part, there was a coffin with a ghost that used to rise up and go up to the ceiling. And Jimmy was standing there as the Undertaker in a navy blue suit with a white shirt with a dark blue tie. His hair was cut nice. He had no earrings. He had shoes. And I looked at him and I thought, oh, well, let's see. And by the end of our party, and a couple of days later, he went over to Burton went over to him and said, "Well, Jimmy, I guess you won because Ron is for you. Ron is after you, not me." I wasn't after him. I never go after anybody. But that's how it started. And we began dating, and 3 months later, we moved in together. And then we moved to Pennsylvania because our show was coming out of there. And we got married in New York City Hall. And it's been almost 10 years now that we're together and married. And it's a good marriage. It's a good, Jimmy's a nice guy. He's full of shit, but he's a nice guy.
You guys are absolutely adorable, man. That's for sure, man. You guys
Well,
work well together.
you know why? Because we live in a world of mostly straight people. We have very few gay friends. And we act like a straight couple. We believe in monogamy, no three ways, no cheating, none of that shit. And that's what the success is to our relationship because we feel the same about each other now as we did when we met. We didn't have to bring in a third
outsiders.
Yeah, what the fuck do I want them?
Exactly.
I don't knock it. I have friends here in Palm Springs. They all do three ways. I mean, Palm Springs is the three-way capital of America.
I don't know, man. A lot of places can say that nowadays.
Well, I think it destroys a relationship because one is always left out and one is hurt.
Not to mention, yeah, I was gonna say the emotional aspect, right? So
Yeah. I mean, who wants to see the person you love being touched by another person?
exactly.
Did you ever do it? Did you ever do a three-way?
Nope. Well,
Me neither.
We're very old school. We believe in the old school way. She was raised by her grandparents. I was raised by my grandparents, and so we have that very family, very specifically to ourselves orientated. I mean, we have our friends that we consider our family, right? But as far as craziness like that, no, we class, class, not trash. That's what I've always believed in. Right?
Class, yes, I do too. And I know that when I first met you or got to know you, I thought you were this demented creature. One of these weirdo drug addict rock and roll people or whatever they call themselves. And as I got to know you, I found you to be very, very good father, a wonderful husband, and a terrific guy. And you're the furthest thing from a doped up rapper.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're really Frank Sinatra doing rap.
You got it. You got it. Class, not trash. You see?
That's right, classic.
Old Blue Eyes had it right, didn't he? Old Blue Eyes had it
well,
right,
no,
didn't he?
Blue Eyes banged a lot of my friends. So no, Blue. I mean, I have friends in Palm Springs that he screwed. I mean, Frank Sinatra. No, serious. I won't give their names, but one is one is a very dear friend of mine, a wonderful close friend of mine. She's a wonderful singer, and she went out with Frank for a couple of months. And Frank Sinatra was a womanizer. He really enjoyed women, and women loved him. And he was Italian, so he was very endowed. And the women that went with him liked the fact that he was hung like a horse. Milton Berle said that when they were in the locker room, he saw Frank Sinatra naked, and Frank Sinatra's dick looked like the thing you have in the music, TikTok. What is that thing that back and forth?
You're talking about the I know what you're talking about.
Pencil.
The Baraka? Oh,
The
I
per-
thought you were talking about a maraca.
no. The pendulum thing, that the TikTok thing that keeps
Yeah, I
the
got
tempo,
you.
the tempo. Milton
I,
Berleson. But
that's great.
these guys were famous. They had money.
Yeah.
They were attractive, and women wanted them, so they didn't have to go out begging or looking.
Yep.
I mean, they could go
Exactly.
out one night to a club and come back with 5 women, and all
Exactly.
beautiful women.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
Ava Gardner was his love of his life, and she liked men as much as he liked women, and that was the problem. They both couldn't
For sure.
satisfy each other.
Now, so I hear you always bringing up Swiss. Is that to you considered your that the best time in Hollywood that you
But
consider the best time, or
what do I
you still?
consider the best time in
Yeah.
Hollywood? The golden years of Hollywood,
Yeah.
where the legends were, when everybody belonged to a studio, and the
Yeah.
studio did the PR, and they made actors and actresses go beyond human. Like, who would ever believe Marilyn Monroe peed or farted? You couldn't possibly think that because you'd throw up. Marilyn Monroe never did that. Marilyn Monroe was a legend. Same thing with Jane Russell and the rest of my friends. I never met Marilyn, by the way. Sad. But Jane Russell was a dear friend of mine, and I know she was as human as anybody, but nobody wanted to believe that anyone that gorgeous and sexy could possibly be human.
Yeah.
So when you
I watched the interview.
of my
I,
interview with Jane, I
yeah,
love
I
that
watched
interview.
it. Yeah, that was a great interview. I watched it. She seems very tough. She seemed like she was very tough, a tough
She's a
woman.
she's a broad. What are you kidding?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, come on.
She,
I was backstage with her when she wasn't feeling well. She took a shower and came out in a robe, and I was there with her piano player, Peter Clark. And she started off on me with her mouth. And Peter said, "Don't speak to Ron that way. He's so nice to you." "What are you talking about, Peter? I'm in his house." He smacks me in the ass and says, "Move it, Russell, move it. We're late." So together we loved each other because we were tough. She would say things to me like, I don't know what they, like you said, tough. She spoke tough.
yeah, yeah.
When
That's
she
what, and then
act,
when I watched the when I watched the
oh
interview,
yeah,
that she came across.
I was docile because I didn't want to get her going. I mean, I could have got, if I got tough with her, you would have thought we hated each other. But
Oh,
no, we loved each other very dearly. I mean, really loved each other as family. She trusted no one but me. She would tell me that so many times. Um, Jane told, that's like me. She told it like it is. No smoke up anybody's ass. No bullshit. No, darling, let's do lunch. If they said that, she'd vomit. She was a cowboy. She rode a horse as a young girl without a saddle. So she was a woman. She was like a tomboy, but she wasn't a
yeah.
dyke. She was straight. Loved men. Um, a wonderful, wonderful human being that had a set of values that was so good. She was good valued. She believed in all the right things a human should believe in. An exceptionally wonderful person. And if she wasn't, I wouldn't have loved her with all my heart and soul. I miss her all the time. And my one great regret is that Jimmy never got to meet her because she would have loved Jimmy. She didn't
Yeah,
like the guy I was dating at the time.
I could see that. I could see that. She seemed like the kind that had the the good personality for
Oh,
liking the good people.
she didn't tolerate bullshit at all. If
Yeah,
somebody was in the room and they started bullshitting, she'd get up and say, "Please, I'm out of here before I vomit." She said, "No, she hated that Hollywood bullshit." "Oh, Miss Russell, I love you." You go, "What the hell are you talking about?" She said, "I made a friggin' movie. Big deal." She never thought her career was anything more than just work. You go to a factory, they abuse you, and it goes on film. That's what she used to say. I say the same thing. And not that I learned it from Jane, but that's how I feel. I mean,
so
yeah.
no, I was gonna say, so being that what we call the legends, the icons, um, do you feel like Hollywood has just kind of gotten weak in acting or soft in that department, or
Hollywood has gone political.
yeah,
And the first thing you learn when you become an actor is you never discuss politics or religion, or you will lose half of your audience. Because half of your audience is pro and half is con. So if you're a Republican, don't say so. And if you're a Democrat, don't say so. Because even back then, they didn't like each other. And you would lose a lot of viewers. The studio heads didn't want that because it was money. For every viewer or audience participation, you lost $10. That was a lot of money adding up to many people. So
Yep.
we were told you must never be public about anything. And today they say terrible things about the president, and a lot of people don't like it, and they don't like the actors anymore. There are, of course, a lot of people that enjoy what they say and they do like them. But I think that Hollywood has gotten too crude, too vulgar, too realistic. Years ago, we went to the movies to see fantasy,
Yeah. Yeah. Now
wonderful
we live it.
musicals, comedies. We left there lighthearted. Now I go to the movies and sometimes I leave depressed because they're bringing up issues that disturb me. Um,
And they're talking about it in ways that the what was it, the Joker movie?
yeah.
They talked about subjects and ideas in there that were very controversial, and at the same time knew that they were going to be controversial and didn't care. You know what I mean? And I think that that lack of respect for the art of Hollywood, the art of making art,
Well, that's
I
the
think
other thing.
that's.
There
Go
is
ahead,
no,
go.
there is no more art. Everybody or many people now are banning Gone with the Wind. They took it off HBO. They say it's a racist film. I want everybody to know Gone with the Wind is history. It's a fact.
Yeah.
What went on in the movie was history. It was so it wasn't like it was being racist at the time. It was that the actors and the characters had to be who they were. They couldn't show black people as President Obama. It wouldn't have worked, would it? So they had to show black
Okay.
people as slaves. But they also showed the white people were kind to their slaves. They didn't abuse their slaves. Vivian Lee loved her mammy and Butterfly McQueen. And look, the mammy won an Oscar. It's an Oscar winning film, the first black woman to ever win an Oscar. It's such a great film and it's such a wonderful tribute to black people. Why do they want it banned? So now they're not going to ever show it again. And Jimmy said people are running out and buying every copy of Gone with the Wind
My,
because
my wife said my wife said the same thing. She says she wishes that she could find a copy of it right now, just to have it, just to own it, because with it being disappeared, I mean that's a part of history. That's a part of
but
my history.
but I
You know
know
what I
that,
mean?
but what they're doing is they're not respecting art. That film is an artful film. The black part is just a little bit of it. The most of it is about the war. Most of it's about Scarlet and Rep. It's not a black movie where they're putting down black people. And
But
me of all people, yeah.
I
I mean,
have a question for you.
yeah.
If it was today's world, okay, back then, all right, do you feel that there would be support or protests against the movie's creation? Say that it was still in production at that time, but the world was the way it was today, just back then.
Well, you can't even ask that question because the answer is no one would touch it.
Yeah.
Just like now, there are many films out there that we're having problems with. Producers, I'm doing about 8 or 9 films in the next year, and I
Okay.
talk with all my producers, and I said to them because I am a great supporter of the black people. I believe that they didn't get a fair deal, okay,
Right.
but neither did the Italians or the Jews or the gays. So we're all in the same boat. We got a rough deal.
Okay.
Um, I asked the producers, I say, how come in the couple of films that I've been in, we only had one black person? Was that the token black? And they said, oh, they make all these excuses up. And I said, no, you have to have more black people in your horror movies. I mean, they get killed too. They get vampired and wolf, wolfman or whatever. So I don't know what's going on. I guess they're going to change that too. I
Well, I
feel that,
was I was I
yeah.
was speaking with Cherie Johnson from the SVTV network, and she had said that the way of going about making movies today is completely different. As far as the sets, the cast,
Oh my God, of course.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
please.
So I kind of was trying to figure out at the time what she meant, but then I went back and I started watching some of the movies from like the 1980s. I actually just finished up The King of New York. It was called The
Yep.
King of New York. It has Christopher
Walken.
Wilkinson. No, Christopher
Christopher
Walken,
Walken.
right?
I
Lawrence
know him.
Fishburne.
I
Yeah,
know Christopher. He came from my
really.
name. Came from my
Oh, such
neighborhood.
a that's a great actor. That's a great actor.
His aunt had owned the bakery, Walken's Bakery, that we got
Okay,
our cakes from. And I used to ride the VMT sometimes at night with Chris when he was on
nice.
doing King and I. Great guy. I love Christopher Walken.
So I finished this movie, and then I kind of went back and I analyzed the scene, the characteristics, the way they wrote the script, the stereotypes that they used, and I understand now how 20 years ago, the movie scene was more antagonistic, and they have really kind of toned it down in some manners. So I mean, you have to give them some credit for that, at least. Yeah, I don't know. I
Well,
mean, back then they were
I've never thought of a film as antagonistic. I I thought there were sometimes some things that I wasn't comfortable with. But
okay,
antagonistic is a little too strong of a word. But
okay,
1959, I made a movie with Sophia Loren and Tab Hunter. And
okay.
we shot that movie for 3 months. Just the scenes that we did in the train station took 3 days.
Yeah,
Today, I do a film in 10 days.
okay.
So, what do you think the quality of the film is going to be in 10 days? Shoot it,
Not
get
as
it right. Shoot it, get it right. We don't care if it doesn't look good, as long as we got it in the can. Back then, doing 60 takes was not an
just for that,
unusual thing.
just for that one perfect one.
That's right. Lawrence of Arabia, when he lit the match, did that shot, I don't know how many times, to get the right feelings looking in the match. Because then the match goes out and the scene opens with the whole desert.
And you have to have that perfect start to that.
Right. Howard
Exactly.
Hughes shot the tombstone in Jane Russell's movie The Outlaw, I think 100, because he was nuts, 160 times. He shot a tombstone with what's his name on it, the big gun guy of the day. I mean, you know what it was? Money. Today, to do a decent film, you need 3.5 million minimum. When you
Wow.
do, oh yeah, when I'm in some films that are 100, I was in one film was 15,000. If I knew that, I never would have signed in. And if you see it, it looks 15,000. It looks like it was done with a home camera, and everybody in the neighborhood got in the film.
Very bad editing, all real bad and everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and my performance looked overly done because I was the only one that acted. The other ones were
Actually
in it.
had acting. Yeah, actually
Well,
acted.
they weren't actors. They were people in the town of Pittsburgh. He picked up
Right.
neighbors and friends and put them in there. I mean, it was horrible. But you have to make a film today that has a meaning. Here's how it goes. A film must have a beginning, a middle, and an end. If it doesn't have those three things, it's a bad film. A lot of films today confuse you.
Because they
They
are.
open up with going back, and then they go forward, they go sideways, they don't do it well. Young kids are all filming. Young kids are writing.
Yeah.
Years ago, they were adults. They were men.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were not 30-year-olds. They were men in their 40s and 50s who had a lot of experience under their belt. And they belonged to a studio, and they were paid decently.
And had the money to fund it too.
Well, the studio used to put up the money, but they made it back.
I see a lot of these movies today have like Kickstarter campaigns, GoFundMe campaigns,
They
which I
all
mean it's a great day for today's world, but I mean that wouldn't have worked back then, right?
No. Today, if you put money into a film, they offer you a part in the movie.
Right.
I'm appalled at that.
Yeah.
There are so many good actors out there looking for work that won't get that part because somebody put $5,000 into this cheesy film, and now they're going to take that part over. That
So
to me
we're
is so unfair. You're just
yeah.
you're just a show off, and you're giving the money so you could tell all your friends I'm in the movie. Meanwhile, you suck when you're in the movie, and they edit half of what you do out anyway.
And you make the quality of the film bad because of your crappy
Right.
acting.
And took a job away from a person who makes a living at acting. So it's changed. I mean, now I just got my notification of when I'm shooting. I'm shooting August, the beginning of August. Clown Motel 2, and the restrictions because of the COVID is
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I bet you was. I heard you saying some of that yesterday on the Jimmy Star with Ron Russell show. You
Okay?
was talking about only allowing so many at a time.
3, no
Yeah,
crowd scenes. We're not allowed to mingle on the set. Usually we go look. I would go watch Sherry Davis work. I'd go watch Lorene work or Marcel or somebody. We would be on the set and getting a
family.
feel of the story. Not only that, but you get a feel of the story. You now know what's going on in the story, so that when you come into the story, you feel like you're in the family. Now that we're not allowed to go on, Jimmy's not allowed on my set. I'm very upset about that
I bet. I bet.
because
You
Jimmy
know,
enjoys watching me work.
well, not only that, but I know when I go to like when I do my performing shows for my songs and stuff, I love to take my wife with me, right? And so the times that I can't take my wife with me, I don't feel the same. I feel like part of me is missing, right? Because when she's there, I'm more active, more happy, more I don't know, I just more of me, right? And then when you take away her, I'm more me, but without all the fun part
I,
because I'm more
I,
strict business, right?
I
You know,
understand.
yeah. So
Jimmy and I are together 24/7.
yeah.
We're never apart. We do a show together. So me without Jimmy is kind of like losing one arm. I love to know that Jimmy's there because after a shoot, I go over. I say, "Okay, fuckface, what did I screw up on?" And
Exactly.
he'll tell me, "Well, whatever he says I did wrong, I do again because it was right." See, it's reverse with Jimmy.
She pops my bubble. Every time I think I'm like Mr. Fantastic superstar of the world, she comes right along to say, "Hey, you still walk on earth, buddy." You know what I mean?
Well,
So,
I don't mean ego. I mean my performance. Like if I deliver a line and Jimmy says, I don't like the way you deliver it, I deliver it the exact way again because I know that Jimmy doesn't know what he's talking about. So that makes, no, that makes me happy. Um, you know,
you crack me up, man.
no, it's
You're
a very
so.
difficult world we live in, a very difficult
Yes, it
world.
is. Yes, it is. Speaking of, I wanted to get back to a topic you touched on earlier with, it was called Ron Russell Set the Record Straight. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of tough, what is it like to be the director, the producer, the host at that time? When it doesn't seem like the world was as conveniently set up to broadcast content.
Okay. I had this concept of doing this show, and at that time, nobody did a show like it. It was outrageous of the time. I went up to Jane's house for the weekend and I spoke to Jane Russell and I spoke to Jane. I said, Jane, would you come on my show as my first guest? I want to do a conversation show, not an interview show, a conversation show,
Right, right.
whereby you and I will talk like we do at home, like we're having breakfast in the morning with coffee and crumb cake. And she said, oh, honey, I'd do anything for you. And she did. Well, my first question out was, what size bra were you in 1940? And she said a 36B. I said, and you were so famous for your tits. I mean, I didn't say tits. I said, and you were so famous for a 36B bra. That's little. Pamela Anderson's got those balloons. I said, if she rides a horse, she could trip on them. Well, the next day, Turner Classic, not Turner Classic. What was it? My studio it was
Time Warner. Time Warner.
Time Warner. Thank you. Time Warner executive called me up to the top office. Ron, we had a report that you were talking about Jane Russell's breasts. I said, oh, really? Who reported that? I know who did it. It was that old bitch that had a talk show on my network. She was so fucking jealous. Anyway, I said, oh, really? I was discussing her breasts. Have you seen the show? He said, no. I said, well, I want you to know the show went up and got 16,000 views in a matter of 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
So he looked at me. He said, well, I'll watch it. He watched it. He called me back or she actually, and she called me back in the office and she said, there's perfectly nothing wrong with that. She said, you were very polite about it. And the love between you and Jane shows and we're happy with it. So I had to watch my P's and Q's. Now, Arlene Dahl, who's a friend of mine, comes on the show and she's talking about Lana Turner's daughter, Cheryl Crane, being raped by Lex Barker when she was 10 years old for over a year. Very, very touchy subject matter. Nobody did such things on television then. And I asked Arlene Dahl, was that true? She said, Ron, believe me, it was not true. It couldn't be. Lex Barker had a package so large, had he ever entered a 10-year-old, he would have killed her. Now, do you know what kind of conversation that was 15, 18 years ago?
That was too racy for TV. Let's put it that way.
Racy, people were dropping dead from the subject matter. He really raped Cheryl Crane, and Cheryl called me up when she saw the show and she said, Ron, I really wouldn't want, I really didn't like you to discuss it. I said, Cheryl, your book Detour is all about it. I don't do anything that's not already public. I'll never out anybody. So she understood. But Cheryl was a good friend of mine. She lived right up the road from me in Palm Springs. She was a gay woman with her girlfriend Josh. Two sweet girls. But back then, my show was a shocker. People said it's not going to make it. It's not going to last. It stinks. It doesn't stink. I was on for a while. I was on 3 times a week on Saturday morning. I went from Northern California down to Northern Mexico.
How many episodes in all?
I don't know, 8, 9 maybe. Was it one season? We did one season, which is
one whole season. Okay.
Whatever,
okay.
However many episodes. Cliff Robertson, I did. Jane Russell, Arlene Dahl, Terry Moore, maybe Kay Ballard.
I have Stephen Lang from Avatar.
Oh, I love Stevie. Now you're talking about a buddy. What a great guy.
That was a good interview too.
Oh, he danced with me. He's not a homophobe at all. He's as straight as an arrow. But his wife is a designer, a costume maker. So she's with gay people all the time. And Stephen Lang has gay people in his house all the time. So he's very gay friendly. But what a terrific fellow. First thing when I met him is I said off camera, I said, how tall are you? He said 5'11" or 5'10" and a half. I said, what size jacket are you? He said, a 38. I said, you are a little fella. On screen in Avatar, you look like this gigantic, muscular Hulk. Not in person.
He's the same size as me. Yeah, he's the same size as me.
He's a slight guy. So we were talking about being gay and stuff. I said, you're not homophobic, are you? And he said, would you like to dance? And I said, yes. And we got up and we started dancing cheek to cheek. He was the best. Fun interviews, terrific guy. I hear from him a lot. When he did that movie that was wonderful, his last film that I saw, where he was blind and kids broke into his house. And the way he was, as a blind man, defending himself against these terrible kids that were trying to hurt him. I forgot the name of the film, but a brilliant film. And he was...
Check that out.
Oh, he was wonderful in it. He gave a performance that was beyond belief. Stephen is a good actor.
Yes, he is.
Did you know he's got 3 avatars he's making?
Yeah, well, I was just reading up on the Avatar, I guess, extended trilogies that they're going to be doing here. There's 5, 6 of them they're going to be making. So,
well, Stephen he's in the first 3.
Yeah, and it's very cool to see that they incorporated. I didn't like. I don't know if did you ever watch Iron Man, the first one?
I don't know if it's the first or the second. Jimmy watches all that junk. I watch it.
They replaced. I think his name was Terrence Howard from Empire. They replaced him with Don Cheadle, and I don't like it when they switch characters on you in the middle of a story movie. I like the fact that they kept the same people all the way through. They're doing a good job at that. So.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
I still can't get over that Batman is now a woman, or Superman is a woman. Who is it?
You know what? I think I believe in I believe in unity and equality and everything. I mean, but
now they're gonna make
a lot of
woman.
Now
they'll make Abraham Lincoln a woman. No, facts are facts. Superman is called Superman. Not super.
Right, exactly.
It's not a racist or sexist thing.
No, it's just
taking
that's the way
everything.
it was created, right? That's the way it was created.
They
I mean,
want to demasculinize us. They're taking everything away from guys. Men can't be men anymore. Men have to be women. Men have to be with women. Men have to help their wife with a manicure, paint their toenails. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but to me,
not that
it's just
I'm not willing to do that, but I'll do that by my personal choice, not, not because I'm being told that's the right thing to do or the not right thing. You know what like, you understand what I'm saying by that?
yes. In Hollywood, there's a name for men like that. They're not gay. I forgot what they're called, but
I believe it's called metrosexual.
yeah, that's what it is. And
Yeah.
those guys don't know who the fuck they are. And I've spoken to many of them, and they say, "Oh, I'm bisexual." I said, "Oh, when did you do that?" Well, I
Yeah.
decided at one point to be bisexual. I said, "Oh, you decided to be bisexual." No, you don't decide to be bisexual.
Either are or you're not, right?
Or born
Exactly.
bisexual or whatever. So this bullshit about where they're going to be like women and men, what is wrong? They wear nail polish, they tweeze their eyebrows, and they're straight. What real woman wants to go to bed with a drag queen? I mean, no real women want men. They want lumberjacks. They want guys with 8 inches, tough guys, big guys, muscle. They want to be banged into heaven. They don't want to be tickled by some fairy.
Well said.
I
Well
mean,
said.
I was married to my wife for 16 years, and I was
Yeah.
always a Brooklyn Guinea who knew how to screw. I was never a girly boy. Never.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have a wonderful family, right? Leslie and Deirdre.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
daughters, my life. My life. Like you're going to have your children as your life, they're my life. I live because of them. I won't die because of them.
I, I
I,
I was I was there at your little birthday video thing, and so I was hearing the camaraderie between you and your daughters, and it was so familiar to me. It sounded like me and my daughters, right? So I was laughing right along, like the dysfunctional part, putting the fun in dysfunctional. So yeah,
People say, "What's the success to having your daughters living in Palm Springs because of you?" I said, "Listen, if you plug in good, you get good back. Children repeat what you give them. If you give them love and kindness, they will give you love and kindness. If you give them arrogance and strictness, being disciplinarian, they're going to do the same back." And my daughters have always been my pals from very young with respect. They never overstepped their barrier with daddy because daddy was strict. No drinking, no boys in the basement, no whoring. And I raised them that way.
class, not trash.
Yeah,
Class, not trash.
yes, but I was liberal as far as many issues. And I hung out with them and
So am I. I
traveled.
am. I my kids say that I'm the cool dad. I guess is what the term is. It's called the cool dad. So I guess I mean I know what it's like to not have parents, and I also know what it's like to be under that strict authoritarian type of viewpoint. And I believe that people should be able to make their decisions, and that includes a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old. The difference is that if you have guided them the right way and you've taught them the right way and you establish a comfortable enough relationship with them, they're going to make the right decisions because they see you making the right decisions, right? And like you said, they reciprocate what they see, what they hear, what they're taught. So I guess I'm a kind of a lead by example kind of guy, right? You know what I mean by that?
Goodness gets goodness. That's why
Exactly.
I'm so against hate, the word hate. I never write it, I never use it. I don't like the word because that word is so negative. It destroys self. It destroys everything. I mean, you could go to work and say, "I hate work," and you've ruined the day. You have to learn to find the silver cloud in a storm. Uh,
Everything.
Everything negative has something positive in it.
It's
You
a
have to
viewpoint,
find the
right?
positive.
It's
Yeah,
all about
something.
your viewpoint.
Well, there's so, I mean, you could have a lot. I could be going on a movie I dislike intensely, but Lorene Landon is in it. There's my positive. I get to see Lorene, who I love so much. Uh, I look for
Speaking of
positive in everything.
prayers for her, prayers for Lorene right now. Positive vibes, the whole 9 yards.
Well,
Hoping
Lorene
that
is
she
doing
gets.
good. She's home and she's doing good. And eventually she will need dialysis, and she's waiting for a kidney. She's on a kidney list. and she's my dearest friend in the world. If you knew her, you would love her like I do. She goes to church and spends a whole day at church helping people. She is a
She
kind,
seems
oh, kind heart, kind,
she seems
good
wonderful.
girl,
She seems
sweet, the best human being I know. I mean, she's just the most wonderful person. She
she always
captivates
has a smile. Always has a smile. Like
always,
every
always.
picture, every video, every always a smile, right?
And yes, and being with her, there's never between the two of us a negative word ever said. And the positivity that we bang off each other energizes us. And when I leave her house or she leaves our house, we're electrified.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
wonderful. Now, I have another friend who I will not mention who's a negative. He's always complaining. He's dying of this, he's dying of that. He hates Trump, he hates this one, he hates that one. He hates too much hate in your life. How could you ever be happy when you have
So
so much hate in you?
you're bringing yourself down. Yeah.
Yeah, happiness comes from within. You create your own happiness by being positive. So if a friend writes something, like they write shit on my Facebook page because I made a stupid statement about, I won't even repeat it. I didn't mean what it sounded like, but I meant the bad ones, get rid of the bad ones that were destroying people's property. Only because my friend Cece Skykes, who's a black girl, owned that beautiful shop on Melrose. And when I found out that Cece almost lost her life, they came in blowing things up and breaking, I was furious that you did that to my friend. Anyway, but no
Completely
way.
understandable.
Oh, I'm
It's
not a
understandable.
racist. They came on,
No.
called me racist. They were getting rid of me, blocking me. And I went on
Look,
a couple of their pages, and I found out that I wasn't even friends with these people. Not
you
one of
know,
my friends blocked me. They were strangers who just came in and out.
racist racist is such a term that's thrown around in today's society so easily anymore.
Well,
I've grown up.
lost its true meaning.
Yeah, I've grown up in what I will say has been not the most white friendly of neighborhoods, and I will say that racism is a part of life. It shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be tolerated, obviously. But to sit there and say that it's simply a one gender or a one culture or a one sexual orientation, stigma, that's a lie. Racism
No,
happens to everybody in every form.
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I'm going
Oh,
to differ. I'm going to disagree with you.
okay.
If you are educated and intelligent, there is no such thing as racism. I have a multitude of friends who are black, starting with CC Pensington, with CC Stipes,
Yeah,
with Wendy Moten, with Nick, oh God, my Lily McLeod. I mean, guy black friends. We don't have those feelings when we're together. My house, when I have parties, there are just as many black people in my home as white people. And none of us feel that. We don't even see the color. We see the love that we have for each other. Because these
right.
people are educated people. It's the
But you have
ignoramuses.
experienced, right? But you've experienced it, right?
What?
Racism.
Racism? Never.
Never, never.
As an Italian?
As an Italian, as a white man,
No,
as
no, no, never,
ever,
never.
ever.
I swear to God, on my kids, never. Like not never knowing. Maybe I was, but I don't know.
Right.
I came from Brooklyn. I
Yeah.
grew
Yeah.
up. I grew up in Astoria, Queens. We had
Right.
we had black kids in our school, and I
But
never thought that.
I'm not talking about just from blacks though. What about from your own? What about whites being racist towards a white person, saying because you hung out with such and such, I don't like you no more.
No, I don't have that.
You don't have that. Well, you know what?
Plus, you have
When
to
I start,
remember. No, listen, Twism. I live in a world of educated people.
right,
I
right,
don't.
right,
I don't have morons in my life.
right,
Yes,
right. Which there
stupid
are a
people that
lot of. There are so many of those, right?
if this has never really happened, but let's make it make believe. If I
Okay.
went to a cocktail party and I met a black person who said unkind words about a white person, I would walk away and say, this person will never be in my life. And that's what I do. There are so many people out there who are not racist, who really believe that it's okay. It's the ignorant, uneducated, drugged up hood people, whatever they call the hood. Those are the people that don't understand. they feel like we're the privileged white person. I was not privileged. I was born in the project in Brooklyn with black people. We had half of the project was black and white. So I'm privileged? I was never privileged. We moved to Astoria because my sister had rheumatic fever and they wanted a house. And my father, we had a cold water flat because of the war. We didn't even have heat or hot water. I used to take a bath in the bathtub with a big spaghetti pot full of water, 1 inch deep. Okay? That was privileged. So one jerk wrote on my page, he said, "Oh, because you have white skin, you think you're somebody." I wrote back, I said, "Baby, I'm Italian. My skin's darker than you. Look how dark I am. I'm not white." I mean, they're so stupid, I didn't even bother responding. Um, I don't care for what the police do to everybody. I've had encounters with the cops. You know, my share of, yeah, well, they're a little too rough. They're a little too militant. They're a little too hipper than God. Lower it, boys. You know, it's a job, and you can arrest somebody and do it with dignity and not make the person feel like shit until they are proven to be whatever there is that you're arresting them for. Until then, they are innocent. Treat people innocently.
Right.
And then when they become criminals, you could get tough. But I mean, like old ladies, 80 years old, I've heard stories the cops pulled them out of a car. I mean, come on. I mean, what, an 80-year-old lady is fighting with a policeman?
Well,
That happened in Palm Springs.
I think this is a problem that's been going on for as long as I can remember. The difference is that now we live in such an internet and social media savvy world that we're finally able to expose these kind of people. We're finally able to bring to light all of the ignorance and the evil that's being done without any consequences or repercussion for it. So I think, it's a good thing that's happening now. I just wish that it could be done in a better way. Does that make sense? Like,
Absolutely.
we need
I
the enlightenment. We just need to go about it in a better way, right?
I believe in what they say. Of course I do. I defend all my friends. I don't care what color. I mean, somebody on Facebook, a friend of mine was in trouble when I came forward and everybody went against me. And I don't really care because that's what we did. Well,
If you're
where I
sticking
came
up for
from,
your friends and family, that's all that
yeah, that
matters.
that was it. That was the Brooklyn slogan: "Stick up for me or you're out." You know, we
Exactly.
stuck up for each other. So I was raised on sticking up for people.
Yep.
But what is the saying? Black is important. What do they say? Black is.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter. And I would say black, white lives and everyone's life matter.
So
Everybody's life
you're
matters
the All Lives
because
Matter. You would
because
fall
the
under the All
yeah,
Lives Matter.
black people are not the only people that have been assaulted by the police. Don't forget, I'm from Brooklyn. I was raised with
It's like I've
Italian,
seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that. New York cops, boy, they're kind of feisty
Listen,
themselves, aren't they?
I was around heads couple to couple you wouldn't believe. I know what I'm talking about. And I know how these cops got paid off. Okay?
Yeah.
You got stopped in a car with a friend. There was a gun in the glove compartment. The cops opened the glove compartment, found the gun, and the driver gave them $200. And they say, "Have a good day." So I've been around that sort of police bullshit. I've been around the police that destroyed gay people's gay bars. Back in the old days, gay was not allowed. More than 12 gay people in a room was called a conspiracy, and you were arrested for being a conspirator. Um,
Wow.
the cops used to come into a gay bar and go over to all the guys and say, "Take all the money out of your pocket." We did, and they take the money and leave.
Wow.
We were beaten up. We were hit by cops. "Go on, you lousy fucking fags. You fucking fags. Get out of here. Don't come back to this neighborhood." And they beat us up, punch us, and we couldn't hit them back. So we gay people have been abused by the police department also. And if they don't abuse us, they make fun of us. "Go on, you little fairy. Come on, Mary. Come over here. Suck my dick." Shit like that. That is demeaning.
Yep.
Those
Yep.
words hurt more than the punch in the face. So I feel for black people. I know what they're going through. We went through it as gay people. And the police need to be taught to be human and civilized. You can't get rid of the police. That's insane because then I'd be robbing banks every day. I mean, I would. If they got rid of the cops, I'd rob banks. Who's
I
gonna?
think it's I think it's more than just what we call the police. I think it's the idea that the police have that is also shared by a lot of people who we consider to be ignorant. You know what I mean? I'll
Well,
say it as politely as I can. It's cops, yes, but it's that mentality that they have inside their heads that is shared among other people in the world, especially influential people, and that's what's bringing down the world right now. You know what I mean?
I have a friend on Long Island who's a Long Island cop,
Yeah.
and we had a phone call a couple of days ago. We spoke, and he said, "Ron, our precinct said do whatever it takes to bring the criminal down," and that's what they're told.
That's what I'm talking.
So I said, "Well, why didn't they use a stinger gun on this guy? They could have stung him with the stinger gun, and he would have, they could have arrested him."
Yeah.
Okay, the guy was fighting the cop because he was loaded, whatever, if that's the case. But the cop had no right to kill him. And knowing he was killing him, because if you saw the video, you saw how he was being murdered and people were screaming. The guy can't breathe. He peed himself. It's the most horrible video I have ever had to see. It is heartbreaking to see a human being being destroyed like that by somebody with authority.
Who thinks that
That's
they're in the right? Who thinks that they can get away with it, right?
Well, they won't get away with it, and I think they're going to set the record straight on that one, where other cops now are going to be afraid to be so brutal
Well, I
because
think
now,
they should start wearing their body cams then too. You know what I mean? Instead of always having the body cam accidentally off or something like that, there needs to be more responsible decision making on the part of the person who is supposed to be there for the protection of society rather than the enforcement of government rules.
well, in short, I can say this. Our tax money pays the police to kill us,
Hmm.
all right? And I'm sure that's what George thought, or somebody that knows George thought. We pay taxes so the police could kill George. And that's sad.
It is what it
That's a
is.
part of the world I don't care for. That's a negative. But I really don't want them to riot and break into stores. Fifth Avenue is a
Responsible. You
mess.
got to be classy. You got to be. You can't just approach
No,
everything.
no. Because now I know that the black people have made a riot against white people. There are more white people now that hate black people, so I'm using that word wisely. Because black people have destroyed white neighborhoods. You can't get anywhere doing that. Bad doesn't make good. Two wrongs don't make a right. Destroying the property of people who are innocent people is not fair. That is misconduct. Now we understand that these people are paid. They're not really the protesters. The protesters are nice people who are trying to make a statement, but some big shots are paying these criminals to go in there and incite riots. If that's true, we'll find out.
As with everything, you've got your good people that go about it doing it the right way, and you've got
Right.
your people that are just not using their brains, right? So
Well, as far as I'm concerned, not to be patronizing or full of shit or making a statement to sound like a goody two shoes, I have the nicest black people for friends. And I love Cece Pensington. I'm dying for her to come to the house. I miss her. My friends are so kind and so loving and so full of fun. They're just the loveliest people in my life.
gotcha.
So I feel their pain, as you do, as any decent person does.
Well, my kids are mixed. My kids are mixed for one. So I come
How are
from.
your kids mixed?
So mom is Spanish and Romanian, and
Yeah.
so they have. They're. I'm white, obviously, so they're mixed with the white and the Spanish and the Romanian, which.
Oh, you're white?
I'm white.
I
Yeah.
thought you were Asian.
No, a little bit in the eyes,
No,
maybe.
only kidding. Only kidding. Only kidding.
But so
So
half of my family.
your wife had black husbands.
Uh, you know, whether she did or didn't, I don't know. I know she's had me, and that's all I can say for that, right?
That's all
But
that matters.
I will say that there are some of my kids in this house that have a darker skin than other ones. And so when you see us standing side by side, it's an odd thing to look at. So I also come from the backgrounds of like I said, being the only white person in the neighborhood, things like that. And I was always respected. I was always treated well. So my thing is that, you know, if you are the type of person who automatically assumes something about somebody without knowing them,
A
or
book by
without
its cover.
exactly, then you yourself are already the person who is committing the first wrong. You should never enter into a situation with anybody or with anything automatically thinking you know who or what they might be.
Well, that's an assumption. I also want to bring another name in that I want to leave out. Sherry Belafonte, you
Okay.
know, is a good friend of mine. Sherry Belafonte is probably one of the most intelligent women around. She is, she has an insight that nobody else has, uh, and a kind, dear, sweet, loving person. That's Harry Belafonte's daughter, everybody. Sherry Belafonte is just a sweet girl, woman, friend.
So
Yeah,
I think
there's no racism or prejudice against Sherry. I mean, come on. She's blonde now anyway. She looks Swedish. Well,
don't you love how we can just change our looks today so easily? I mean, I
why
remember,
not? Everybody has a right to be blonde.
yeah. You know what? You see all this gray going through here. I'm thinking about doing something with myself too. Either that, or I'm gonna go all white like you.
Well, I went all white only because I started to look like a vampire.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was dyeing my hair black, and when I met Jane Russell, I had jet black hair.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
years went by, and I went up to her house with white hair. I bleached. I was a hairdresser, so I bleached out the black and made it snow white. And I walked in, and she looked at me, and she said, "Well, let it grow in gray, not platinum blonde."
Yeah.
So I let it grow in gray. Like hers was gray, but she wore wigs whenever we went out, so people would
Lucky
know who
her.
she was.
Lucky her. She's got a wall that's got different ones on them. Me,
Yeah.
I have to suffer. You know, I have to suffer with
You know,
what I have.
you're a young man. Gray hair looks sexy on a young man.
I said that's what she said. She said, "Don't worry, it looks good on you." I said,
Yeah,
"Okay."
no, really. When you're an old fuck like me, the white hair is like Grandma Moses. But if I had this color hair when I was 30, oh my God, I would have been drop dead exquisite. Are you kidding? But it came with as an old man, old grandpa.
We've got
That's what
just a
I
few.
wanted to say before about my fan mail.
Yeah,
I get a lot of AOLs. What is that? AOL
emails,
emails,
emails.
and they say a lot of nice things about me. But the most wonderful compliments are, "I wish you were my father," or "I wish you were my grandfather." Those are the people that I really feel so close to
Yeah.
because they see in me something that is not artistic. It's human.
Well, you know, I've told you before, man. You're a good father. You are. You're a good
I'm a
father.
great father, not a good one, a great one. Are you kidding?
Yeah, there you go. Well said.
Oh
Well
no,
said.
no, no, no! I never. I gave up. I gave up show business for my children. When the old lady, the drunk, took a powder and she didn't want to be a mother anymore or a wife, she didn't see my children in 35 years. She never even called to see if they were alive. She just went away. Not because I was gay. She didn't even know. It was because she came from a fucked up family, and she was a cold potato. Anyway, um, I gave up going to making films, doing television, so I could raise my children. I went back to hairdressing to make a living, and yeah, I was Mr. Original Mr. Mom. I would make sure I was home, during the week to make them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches,
Nice.
of which Angelina Jolie, who's Angie Voigt, used to have in my house with Deirdre. I used to make Angie peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I wanted to ask her one day, "Doesn't your mother make these for you?" But I wouldn't hurt her feelings. But that kid, her eyes would glow when I gave her a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and she ate it with such gusto. She didn't come from a great background either.
I love hearing your stories. Like I love hearing your memories, your the
Well,
life that
it's,
you've
it's
lived.
my life. It's my
It's
life.
rich. It's rich and it's full of life and you know some people they say, well, this is what I've done and that's it. And you say it and you're like, this is where I've lived, and you can tell the passion coming out of you about what you've done,
Because
whether it's
because
something good or something bad.
I believe we all have choices.
Yeah.
And time is the most valuable thing in life. You'll find that out as you get to be my age. time is more precious than anything. Don't waste it with people who bring you down, who are not successful, who are mediocre. I chose always to be around people that were in my business. Um, I was invited to millions of parties with people in my business. So, of course, you get to know everybody that's wonderful and famous. And living around the corner from Angelina Jolie Deirdre went to school with her. She used to play in my house. Richard Woodmark was my neighbor next door. I hated him because Angie and Deirdre would jump off the double bed and hit the floor. And he heard it because we were living in a townhouse at the time that was adjacent to his. And he would yell, "Shut those kids up!" Blah, 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 blah. So one day I grabbed him out of the garage and I said, "Hey, Rich, get over here." And he come, "What do you want?" I said, "You know who that kid is that you're always screaming at?" He said, "No." I said, "That's John Voight's daughter. And I'm going to tell John Voight how you scream at his daughter." Well, he never screamed again.
Yeah, I bet.
And it was John Voight's daughter. And John used to come to my house to pick her up and drop her off. So
he was a powerhouse back in the day too. Powerhouse. He had a lot of pull in the Hollywood area too. So
yeah, but he was. We're not going to talk about John Voight.
We'll let that one go for sure. All right, with we've got about like 3 minutes. So with the last 3 minutes here, man, is there anything you're getting ready to do? I know you said you booked something about Clown Motel 2. Yeah. Is there anything else on?
Oh yeah, there's.
Are you allowed to talk?
I'm not allowed.
There we go.
I think this stinks. I have 6 movies I'm doing, and I'm not allowed to give a title or anything about them. And I think this is horrible because pre-publicity sells a film.
Should be free publicity, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, I could tell you my characters. One, I play a very nice, respectable husband.
Okay.
Who has 3 daughters. Period. Okay. I can't go on about it. It's a thriller, by the way. Okay. Can I talk about the other one?
Let's not push it. No,
I can't.
Yeah, let's not push it. You've got 6 movies coming up, and that's what we'll leave it at right there.
Well, actually, more than 6. I just don't remember the rest of them. Jimmy's got me in a bunch of his films that he's producing.
Yeah, I know. He's got a long list coming up. So
yeah, we're going to Atlanta to shoot, Tennessee to shoot, and New York. New York is I can't wait.
Yeah, Eileen's out there. You're gonna get to see her again, right? Billy Hess out there.
I get to see. Oh, Billy the Trick. I love him. Billy's my twin. I get to see so many. My friends Terry and John, Teresa and John. I've got tons of friends. I think I lived on Long Island.
I just want to eat one of his barbecues. Good God, that food looks.
Oh, amazing. Billy Hess.
Yes.
Yeah, he cooks up a storm. He's quite a gourmet cook for a crazy son of a bitch that he is. I mean, Billy Hess is absolutely one of my favorite people. We laugh when Eileen Shapiro and I are together with Billy Hess, the 3 of us. Jimmy can't believe. Oh, Jimmy can't believe us. He said, if a psychiatrist walked by, the 3 of you would be putting crazy out.
Scripts right there. Go take
I mean, we are so demented together, the 3 of us. What we don't talk about. I said, if we had a reality show, we were taping all of this, it would be such a hit. It would have to be XXXXX reality show.
Like 5 or 6 of them afterwards.
What we don't say about who and what. Nothing bad, but everything dirty. It's fine. Hey, listen, Twizm. You're good.
This. Thank you.
You're good. You're a conversationalist. I like that. You don't ask stupid questions. I like that. I said to Jimmy, I hope he's good, because if he's not, I won't say anything. I'll just say thank you for having me on. But I'm happy to say now, thank you for having me on. And you were really good. And you're a good guy. Your music stinks. I hate your music because I don't like rap. I mean, what the hell? I loved your video, by the way. It's cute.
Thank you.
But But what kind of music is that? Don't you have like a Johnny Mathis thing?
I'm gonna tell you an inside secret. I wish that I could have been the rocker. I would have rather have played a guitar and sat on stage in that manner than to be the hip hop artist. It's just, I grew up in that time. I grew up in that environment, and I grew up around those people. And because of those all connecting in that manner, this is what I turned out to be, right? So
Well, Jimmy said to me, after you watch the video, you're going to like hip hop. And I watched the video and I said, why can't he sing? Doesn't he know how to sing? Why does he talk?
I do sing, and actually, you said when you interviewed me that you hope that I do a singing song, and so on my album that's coming up, I do a singing song in
That I
where
want to hear.
I will definitely let you hear that.
That I want to hear. I just don't understand hip hop. It's a
I,
kid thing. It's a new way of doing it. It's not how I was educated or raised about music, so it's new. But you're good
and,
at it. And
and
the
I'm gonna tell
video
you
is
something.
very pretty. Pretty
I'm gonna
video.
tell you.
And I'm
I'm gonna
flattered. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. I just hope that you guys love the stuff that I do because I try to do it for everybody. So I do make the music for you. You may not like hip hop, but if you like me, then you're supporting a better version of hip hop, right?
Oh, I
So
like you. I like you tremendously. I
uh,
just don't like what I look like. I look like a fat old queen jumping up and down with C.C. Pennington. I didn't care for that. I look like I don't know. I think
I loved it.
we
I
had been
loved it.
drinking. I think we were drinking a lot that afternoon.
It was
All,
awesome.
all
It
of
was
us.
it was it was fun to sit and make the video and to watch you guys bouncing around like that. And Cece Peniston, of course, is she's an icon, a legend in
Oh,
herself. And
absolutely, totally,
even to
absolutely.
be even to be in the same circle of breath and mention as her is an honor on my part. I am just blessed beyond belief because I am allowed to do this. You know what I mean? Like
Twizm, where do you live?
where I live in Toronto, Canada.
Oh.
I'm
You know,
waiting for you guys to come up here and have some ice cream with me.
Lorene Landon is from Toronto,
Is
Canada.
she now? I
Yeah,
did not.
she's a Toronto girl. Oh, I
Huh?
thought you were if you were in California, I was going to say come to one of our parties and you could meet Cece.
One day I will be
Cece
there.
is wonderful. Cece is the most down to earth, pleasant, positive thinking, smiling. Everything is a wonderful thing with Cece.
Yeah.
Nothing nasty, bitter, or down. She's
Put
a
in a
delight.
put in a good word for me. The little elbow rub.
Oh yeah, don't forget she's sold a million zillion copies
I
of her
only.
first. She's
I tell her to tell you to tell her this, that anytime she's ready, we can go ahead and make Lizzo look like the little baby that she is.
who's Rizzo?
Lizzo, the one that copied, that was copywriting her music and stuff, that had the problem with CC Peniston.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that we're not allowed to talk about, so
No,
I cannot
yeah,
comment on that.
no more
But
said there. So
yeah, well, she fixed her ass, so let's put it that way. Um, Again, thank you so much. Thank you for the video. It's flattering. It's so nice that you think that much of me and Jimmy to put song to it or put words to it or put whatever the fuck you did to it. That rap shit.
that rap shit. There you go. That's well said
But
right there.
I think what I'm gonna do one day is do a rap song.
Oh, I would love it.
My name is Ron. I come from Brooklyn, and I'm gonna get your baby. Come on. What? I mean, you know what? I'm so used to chances are, 'cause
Yeah,
I wear a silly grin
yeah.
the moment you come into view. That's nice.
That's
But
perfect,
anyway,
doesn't it? Doesn't it?
you're gonna make a lot of money because you're a good one at it. You do it good.
Thank you.
You rap good, and
So much.
I think you're terrific. And I hope to meet you. Yes, in person.
Well, one day. One day. All right,
And you
Ron.
stay well. Wear a mask. Uh, what's it going on up in Toronto? Is it dangerous?
So now it had its peak, right? And now they're getting ready to start what they call phase two opening. So they're going to try to open some swims, swimming pool areas, some more restaurants, things like that. They still are not doing like movie theaters or ballparks or anything like that. So it's still more the smaller oriented stuff, but they are allowing us to get back to some version of normalcy. So.
But were you hit hard like America?
Not anything like that. No, not in any way. In fact, I am really kind of just appalled at how that all went down. I mean, Canada and America knew and were located in the same area. So they knew at the same time and they were located in the same area. There's no reason why America should have been devastated as bad as it was when the surrounding neighbors around it, Mexico, Canada, were not as devastated in any way, shape, or form. So,
Well, did you guys shut down before us?
uh, we shut down at the same time. Trudeau and Trump sat down and kind of had a lover's quarrel for a couple of days about closing the border, and then they finally figured it out, and then they closed together, right? But I mean, Toronto is right across the bay from New York. So
Oh yeah.
If New York was devastated like that, how come Toronto wasn't, right? So
I don't get either. I used to go to Toronto a lot when I lived in New York because the gay bars up there were fabulous. And
yeah,
no, and some of the cutest guys in the world were those lumberjack Canadian types. I went out with a French guy. His name is Claude Monet, and he spoke French as well as English. And we went to a restaurant called Le Palais de Saint Michel, the Cliffs of Saint Michel. And I thought I could speak French in high school. And I said to the waitress, un plat de, meaning I thought plot was plate. I didn't
yeah.
realize plot in slang French is pussy. So I asked for pussy. And Claude looked at me and he went, Ron, do you realize what you said?
What you're asking for?
I said, well, isn't au plat a plate in French? He said, no. I thought, okay. So that's a true story, folks.
Well, they speak French up here as fluently as they do
Yeah,
English. And
yeah.
I tell you what, coming from the States where they speak, Spanish and Mexican as fluently as they do English, it's quite a contrast. It's a very big contrast. I'm still trying to catch up, and I've been here about almost 5 years now. So,
But not to correct you, so the Mexicans won't have a stroke. There's no such thing as Mexican.
Latin
They
American.
speak Spanish. No, they speak Spanish.
And
So
I've
would
I've
say
actually talked to some Spanish people, and they say that they get offended when they say that the South, like the Mexico area, speaks the same thing as the Spanish area. So, like, I'm conflicted. I don't know either way, but I have Spanish friends that say the Mexicans don't say it the same way. Like, it's more slang. It's more, more or less appropriate, right? You know what I mean by that? So,
well, my daughter Deirdre went out with a fella from Colombia,
okay.
and his last name was Gutierrez. And
Okay.
Gutierrez is a very Mexican name. So when they were living here together in LA, people would think he was Mexican, and he got highly insulted.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm not Mexican.
Right.
I'm."
Right.
He thought it was
Colombian.
horrible. He said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm Colombian,"
Yeah.
and I don't know why he thought Mexican was crap. But those Colombians, they think Mexicans are low class or whatever, or stupid. I don't know what they think.
And
But they
that's
get very
and that's what my
offended.
Spanish friends say too, right? And the Portuguese, my
Yeah.
Portuguese friends say the same thing, right? So I
Well,
don't know.
as it turned out, his fancy schmancy Colombian family were a bunch of asswipes, and my Mexican friends are sweetie pies.
Isn't
So
that how it goes?
I'll take the Mexicans over the Colombians, who are snobs, any day. Any.
You're awesome, man. You're awesome. You're so
Oh,
awesome. We've got to finish this up.
I'm gonna get email for days now.
I know, right?
They're all gonna be writing to me. You're a racist. You hate Mexicans. You hate Colombians. You hate.
I'm gonna get a bunch from this too as well. I already know. I already know, man.
Well, that's what makes it great.
That's
To be
what makes it good.
controversial.
Hell yes.
Like I said on Chance's show, the Facebook may take this off also.
No, I put it on YouTube, so they won't do nothing.
No, Chance's show is on YouTube for those of you who want to see it. But Facebook is becoming a communist publication. They take we have not any longer freedom of speech. And I think it sucks. But anyway, you got to go. I got to go. I have to go hose down the garden. I'm the hose boy.
Give my love to Astro and Shazam.
I sure will. And you forgot my girl, my Brandy girl. There's another one.
I missed this one. Who's this?
Brandy is the most beautiful sheepdog. She's a mini sheepdog. She's called a bearded sheepdog terrier. and
Okay.
she looks like a mop. You don't know where her head is or her ass. And she's white, curly hair, and just so beautiful.
Well, I will
That's
definitely have to check her out when next time you share some pictures.
on Facebook. There's pictures of her.
I will. I
Okay,
will.
and say hi to your wife for
I
me. Looking
will.
forward to
I
meeting
will.
her too.
Yes, soon. You got to. As soon as the borders open back up. How about that?
Now you got it, Chiz.
All right. Love you.
I love you back. Take care.
Bye.